what do you think about Biden's idea to pardon student debt?
I don't think it's going to happen, at least not in the scale that it was promised to a lot of young people. A lot of times when I see this, I just think it's a political ploy to get young people out to vote and to support you. And it seems to work every time when you're a young person facing the idea of higher education and you see how expensive it is. Yeah, and you hear this side go, I'm going to totally take care of that for you. That's the side I'm going to go to, because that's the one that affects my life. So I think it's a ploy in some ways. He might forgive maybe like $10,000 debt from people. How much is that actually going to do? But just from a fairness standpoint, you chose to take out that loan. You chose to pursue higher education. Nobody forced you to put yourself in this insurmountable debt. So why is it now the government's obligation to take you out of that? Are we going to do the same for people who regret taking out a mortgage on their house or regret taking out that car loan? It's essentially the same thing. Money being given to you in order to pursue something. And there's certainly an issue with how expensive higher education is, and I think that's a discussion we should all be having. But it's not the discussion of forgiving debt that people willingly put themselves in.
What did you do for university?
So when I left high school, I started working for that organization. I did that for a year and decided not to pursue college. And then after that, I left and I was like, no more politics. I'm not talking about this anymore. What's something that I can do that's pretty cut and dry? And I was like, medicine. I won't get into arguments about politics or religion or anything in medicine. Yeah, but
nice.
You'll find that's
go into the sciences. Yeah,
exactly. So I actually started working at an immunology clinic, which is why, when you said you had an immune disorder, I was like, oh yeah, I totally get the turmoil that you probably went through. So I started working there and working with patients, and at night I was going to school for nursing, eventually with the intent of becoming a midwife, but that obviously didn't pan out. So here I am.
Yeah, no, fair. I went back to school for sciences too. I took 2 years of sciences. Which was really interesting. Like it's hard, and it's similar to the nursing degree with just the first couple of years of that. It's intense. It's much different than an arts degree.
It's
here's a textbook to memorize. Like, okay.
Yeah, here's every part in the body, and you need to know exactly how it works and what medications to give and all. But it's so interesting and so fun. And once you have the information, it's so useful. I would come to find that medicine is actually just as contentious as politics, which I'm sure you learned too in your own health journey. But it was still a great couple years there.
Yeah, and then how come you decided to not pursue that? Did you just see opportunity elsewhere?
Yeah, I got that call from PragerU, and they said, let's move you out here to LA and you can pursue this. And I thought, I think it's an important thing to be doing right now. I'll take that up. And luckily I got out right in the nick of time, because it was just before they started saying, if you're going to be a nurse, you have to be vaccinated and you have to do this, this, and that. So I got out just before like the authoritarian measures started taking place.
Yeah, yikes. Okay, well, I think that was a good decision. I mean,
absolutely. No regrets.
Yeah, no, not at all. For that reason, for sure. But also if the purpose of pursuing an education is to get a job, and then you already have an opportunity for a job. I think people in college make that mistake sometimes if they're presented with an opportunity and they're like, well, I have to finish my degree. It's like, yeah, but is the opportunity what you're working for anyway? Or what you're working towards? It's like maybe it's more important than the degree.
Exactly. And I go back and think about just my time in K through 12 school and how we were constantly inundated with this idea that you have to go to college. Like when I told guidance counselors at my school, like, I don't think I'm going to go to college, they were so upset. They were blowing through the roof. Like they could not believe that a young person would not want to go to college. And now I get on the other side of it and I'm just like, wow, this feels like this just massive Ponzi scheme to get all of our money when we could be pursuing avenues elsewhere. All the people that I meet in this line of work and I talk to them just like, what college did you go to? Oh, well, I went here for a couple years and then I dropped out and now I'm doing this, or I didn't go to college at all. And so many successful people didn't do that and didn't fall for that. Of course, if your career needs higher education, by all means pursue it. And I think it's a wonderful thing, but it is a big trick in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I think it works for some people who need a more structured way to learn. Like maybe in order to learn, you have to take classes and you have to be told what to read and you have to be forced to write essays. But if you can go online and take courses, or if you read by yourself, then it's kind of a giant waste of money, like you said, especially in America. Like at least Canada is more reasonable, but America, like it's a crazy amount of money. And then what do you get exactly?
Yeah, you get debt and a cookie cutter education that everybody else around you got. And I would love to see education change to be more personalized to students. And I hope that's something that we're on the cusp of, but it doesn't really look like it.
I think the system is going to have to break completely.
Yeah, Will agree. Will's like, abolish the public schools. I'm not quite on that train yet. I think we just need a push from parents to just have personalized education. When I was at the end of my schooling career, that's when they started talking about, if you have certain interests, we'll sort of cater your education to those interests. I don't know if they're continuing to do that, but I wish they would. I know a lot of schools in Europe, when you're like 16 and you're like, I'm interested in being a mechanic, they're like, okay, perfect. We'll go and teach you how to do that. Or I'm interested in English. Okay, we'll put you down that path. I wish we did that more here, and I don't know why we don't do that.
Yeah, I think you'd have to go to a pretty expensive private school to get that kind of education. And even then they push you towards college. It might just be outdated. Like maybe 15, 20 years ago, that was the way to go. Right. Maybe the education you got in college was the way to go. Maybe it wasn't as expensive for a number of reasons. And maybe the public school system or private school system just hasn't caught up. And they're like, oh, wait, college isn't what you think it is anymore.
Exactly. And our world is opening up to so many different new jobs and careers that have never existed before. Yeah, and we haven't accommodated for that yet, I don't think.
No, not at all. Not at all. Even using social media as a type of job. It's like, even 4 years ago, 5 years ago, even now, but especially 5 years ago, it was like, that's a joke. Like, it's kind of looked down on. It was like, no, this is serious. There's an opportunity here.
Yeah, and now with TikTok, it's like 15-year-olds are providing for their entire family just by making videos every single day. So it's insane.
How do you make money off of TikTok? Do they get ad sponsorships?
So there's multiple things that you can do. So you can become a creator, and once you reach a certain amount of followers and views on your videos, you get invited to a TikTok creator fund, which is a very poorly run monetization tool that they have, where they have one big pool of money and all the creators are added in, and as your videos get more views, you get more money. But that pool of money never changes. It's finite for some reason. And then they have the creator marketplace, where you can link up with brands and do ads through your TikTok videos and get clothing lines and all that fun stuff. So there's so many ways to make money off of TikTok.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have to learn that platform more.
It's really, really useful. I think it's, at your own risk. I think it's one of the fastest growing social media platforms that is really given an opportunity for anybody, and I mean anybody, to make a name for themselves. Whether that's a good thing, super questionable, but super, super useful if you're already doing it and it's something that you're good at, which obviously you are.
Thank you. I'm just taking podcast clips. I'm like, good luck, TikTok. Here's some podcast clips. Not sure exactly if that's the type of content you're into, but this is what you get.
I get your stuff on my For You page, so it must be working.
Good. Infiltrating. That's what I want.